Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen and this is Moonflower Studio Creative, and today I thought I'd show you how I paint with gouache. I love painting with gouache. It's a lot like watercolors. It's a water base just like watercolors, but it is opaque paint. It is not transparent paint, it is opaque. You can thin it down and get a little transparency out of it where you overlay colors and they can look a little transparent, but other than that they are pretty much opaque. So I'm taking out my brushes and getting ready to show you how I paint. Now here's a landscape I did. This is Acadia National Park and it is the rocks, and we hiked up there a lot, and also Acadia, and this one is also Acadia. So I thought we'd do the Three Sisters. I am using my Canson mixed media pad, and I really like that, and I put some washi tape around the edges, and I used a watercolor pencil to sketch out my sketch, and it's very loose. And here's the painting. You saw it in the beginning, and I'll keep it showing for you as I paint. After my rough sketch, I go in with a watercolor brush or and just wet it, and I will just loosely go over my pencil lines and create my shadows and my light areas so that I know kind of where I'm going to paint. And I'm just looking at my reference photo there to the right and deciding where my dark areas are and my light areas are, and the foreground and the background, and just make some observations at this stage so you know what you're going to do as far as tone and value. All right, I'm loading up my colors. I put a nice cadmium, I forgot what yellow that was. I don't think it's cadmium in there, it's just a yellow. Just look at the colors and try to get a warm green and a cool green, and I have a true blue gouache in there, and I have a burnt sienna and a white, and that's all I'm using. It's a very limited palette here. Oh, I put in a teeny bit of black, and I did find a turquoise paint there. You can see it in the foreground, and I put a little bit on the napkin because I wanted to just warm up the blue in the sky a little bit. So I like to use like a warm and a cool, and there's a lot of greens and blues in this, so you're going to use warm and cool together, and it's predominantly like the water is very cool, and you can see the mountains in the background are very cool, so they're more blue, and then the foreground is very yellowish. So as when things get closer to you, they get warmer, and farther away they get cooler. And you could definitely see it in this photo that's to your right. You can see that the three sisters in the background are very bluish in tint, like if you squint your eye, and then the trees in the middle ground are kind of a mixture of that. They're cool and warm, and then the front is predominantly warm, and that really helps your eye to perceive depth of field. So I wet my paints a little bit, and they're kind of creamy consistency. Right out of the jar, it's really hard to paint that thick. You really do want to add some water. And I like to mix both on my canvas and in a tray. So I keep the white separate, try to keep it clean, and I'm putting a teeny bit of yellow in the sky along with that blue that I added white to. And I just keep playing with it. And the good thing about gouache is that even after you put it down, you can rework it and you can wet it again and just rework it again. It depends on the paper too. So this is cheap Canson paper. It's actually really good. I really like it to work with gouache, especially if I'm just doing studies. And final paintings I might do bigger, and I would do that probably on a always hot pressed watercolor paper, like a Canson or the Arches. Any kind of really high grade 140-pound hot press paper takes gouache really well. In watercolors, you usually use a rough because you like that texture, but I really prefer using hot press for my gouache. Now this is a mixed media paper, so it's not completely like a hot press, but it definitely is more of a hot press to that size. It doesn't have a lot of texture on it. So for the back three sisters, I mixed a blue and a little bit of the black and a little bit of the burnt sienna together to make that sort of brownish bluish color. So I'm putting down my darkest colors first, and then I'm going to build up to my lightest colors. Now in watercolor, you do exactly the opposite. You're putting down your lightest colors first and going to your darkest colors. June is finally here, and I have the windows open because my air conditioner is broken, and it's 4 degrees out, and it's very humid, so you're going to hear a little bit of the traffic behind me. I hope you don't mind. So now I'm adding some greens to the mountain. Now you can see those mountains look kind of like I really kind of nailed that color. It's a bluish burnt sienna mix, and I'm just kind of dabbing it on. Look, I'm just dabbing because all those trees are kind of pine trees up there because it's cooler weather and they don't have a lot of deciduous trees. It's a lot of pine up there, and there might be aspens and some other kinds of trees, but it's very piney up in Acadia. It's called down east, and the temperature in the summer is actually up until September, even beyond sometimes, is very warm. But then all of a sudden, it turns into a blizzard up there, and they shut down the park for a few months during the winter. And I'm just mixing some more of these greens. I'm keeping them on the cool side, so I'm adding more blue to them. And you know the complement of blue is orange, so if you want to tone it down, I have that burnt sienna, which is a red, and it could add a little bit of yellow to it. Anytime you want to tone down a color to make it a gray, you want to add its complement. So I mix a lot of cool colors in there. I have my little teeny ceramic tray there. I forgot the name of that little palette. It's really cute, and you can literally fill it up and bring it with you somewhere and throw it in your purse, and you have a little paint set to bring with you. And so the bottom with all those little wells would be all your colors, and the top, the one on the bottom there, would be where you mix. I'm kind of doing the opposite, but I wanted to use it for gouache right now because I knew I wouldn't use a lot of paint, and I'll just rinse it out or do a couple more paintings before I don't want to throw away any paint ever because it's so expensive, but I do love this little palette. It's very cool. I pretty much saw it on someone else's YouTube video, I'm sure of it. So now here I am, I'm just dabbing in the shadows and the lights into the background mountain. So we're going to work from the background of this painting to the foreground. So we finished our sky, and now we're doing the three sisters in the background, and then we're going to move towards our foreground. So I do this all the time. I start putting in my midtones and I just go for my darks. And especially with gouache, you want to put your darks down pretty early in the game. And I do this in my watercolors too, because sometimes I want to just, you want to get the values right. So if you don't have something to work it against, light against dark, you can't judge it sometimes. So I'm looking at my painting and I'm saying there's a lot of dark in this painting. I'm just going to put it all in. Now this mixture is not black. It looks black here in this video, but if you can see in my palette, it's a blue. It is a mixture of my true blue with some black and with some burnt sienna. And I might even add a little bit of green in it, but it's really a lovely kind of indigo blue in the end. If you were to study any of Maxfield Parrish's artwork, I have a book on Maxfield Parrish, and he's like an Art Nouveau, just amazing painter. He does all of his base work, his preliminary painting in blue, and it's like indigo blue or blue. And I really love that because I think it just really shines through the painting and gives it such a vibrancy that is just absolutely beautiful. So when you have time, look up the name Maxfield Parrish. You will just fall in love with this artist. So I filled in my trees with their dark, and now I decided to go to the water, and the water is pretty flat. If you look at this painting, this photo on the right, it is a pretty flat. It was a very overcast day. There was not a lot of like pure sunshine, so it was very overcast, and the water was just very still because it's a lake between these mountains. And like Acadia is so like that. You come across these ponds. Maybe it was called a pond. I don't even know. But I have a few pictures of it that I would love to paint still, and from different angles with big rocks and just absolutely gorgeous scenery. And if you ever go up there, just bring your camera, and you might not have time to paint, but you can absolutely take some photos and paint when you get home or back to your hotel or whatever. So right now I'm reworking the top corner of the sky. Now, if this was watercolors, what a mess that would make. It would just be awful. You can't really go back in it and fix it. You would have to literally maybe dab the whole sky off and start over, or start a new painting. But with gouache, you could just go back in and lightly wet it and just blend it back in again. And that's what I love about gouache. And it just still has that watercolor feel, but it has this matteness to it, which is absolutely beautiful. It's just, I just love gouache. I love the way it looks, and I love the way I can paint with it. And it's sort of impressionistic, my style, but I just love that it's got a lot of freedom and I can just paint really fast. So here I go again. I decided to put in some yellows and put my warmth into the foreground, and before I even do my midtones there, my midground, because it's going to help you decide what your midtones are going to be. So try to hit that color as best as you can. I am just loosely throwing that paint in there because it's going to build up on itself. And I'm using a wide brush here and really just using the brush to its benefit. So, I have little tips, and I have a wide brush, and I would even use a brush that's kind of messed up to get the grass in there. I mixed some tan for the front, and that's my burnt sienna with a little bit of blue in it and some white, and that's going to make the road in the front there. Now this painting doesn't look so great right now. It's kind of a mess, but you know what? Wait till you see when it's done. I mean, you saw at the beginning. It comes out really pretty. And I am just dabbing all of these trees in. Just look at the shapes of the tree and dab in the darks, then dab in, just look at the shapes. Be very observant when you paint. Don't guess. Just really observe where the darks are, where the lights are, and you can't miss when you just follow the shape, the darks, and the lights, and you're going to come out with something that looks pretty realistic, even if it's impressionistic. All right, I sped it up because it's a lot of dabbing and you might just be bored to tears watching me do the dabbing. But what I'm doing here is I'm mixing my middle tones. I'm really observing the colors in my photo, and I'm trying to get those middle values of greens in. And I'm also going to just hit those darks even a little bit darker. Now I did put that blue indigo in there and it is dark, but it's definitely not dark enough. And if you really want the painting to pop, you just keep working with it until you could see it working for you. Now I'm just going to go in and add some details of the treetops popping through the back forest there. And I'm just going to keep working on these trees until I feel I'm satisfied. Now look at, I'm reworking my sky again. I didn't like it. I thought there was stuff in the way, and so I'm just reworking the sky, and I'm going to fix that sky the way I want it and just paint my trees over. Now if you paint, this is wet and it just takes a few minutes for the gouache to dry, but if I were to work in this, if it was even more wet and I worked in it, it would blur just like it would in watercolor. But it's actually really a really warm day out and it's drying super fast. So here I blended that all in again. I think it looks fantastic, and it's not as bright as the photo, but I still like it, and I like that I added a little bit of warmth to the sky because you want to see that reflected down into the water and down in from the land. Now remember, you're the artist here. It's your interpretation of what you see and how you want to paint it. So if you want to paint it super realistic, you could spend way more time on it. Now I always feel like that even though my paintings are impressionism, they have a little bit of realism to it. So it's very, very representational. It's not super abstract. All right, I'm finishing up my darks and my little protrusions around the lake. You can see there's some, it looks like islands, but they're just the way the land is dipping in and out. It's so beautiful up there. It's just so rocky, and the pine trees, and it smells so good. And after you've hiked there for a day, it's you just feel just like you just have a wonderful time, and you sleep really good that night, and you just feel really good because you've connected to the earth so much. And I just really love that about nature. I know it looks like a blob, but it's that tree right in the front there, that, and I'm making it really dark, and we're going to just add some lights on top of it. So I'm trying to make it look as much like a pine tree as possible, and then I'm just going to add some lights on top of it to just give it a little bit of dimension. And it really does look like that in the photo. So, and I like it. I like the way that it's just this lone pine tree grown in there, and then there's some scraggler trees as well. So now I'm working on the foreground, and I'm trying to establish that dark that's under the undergrowth, and just give that some dimension and define the road shape. And I left one of those little parts of the mountain in the background not painted yet, and we'll get back to that. But I really just like to build my painting up as a whole. I like to work on the whole thing in little bits, and not get caught up on the tiny little details until last. We're putting in all our forms the best we can, and just keep working on it. I ran out of some yellow. We're using a lot of yellow in this image, obviously, so I need to do some more. And the green goes a long way, so I tend to notice that the lighter colors get used up a lot. And then the darker colors, because they really can mess up, like if you add dark colors to watercolor or gouache, they're very dominant, and you can really ruin your yellow and lose that beautiful yellow if you don't keep them separated. You just need a teeny tiny bit of these darks to add to your lights. So now I'm just going through and adding all the details. So all the little marks, that's going to add the flowers in the weed area, and that, you know, in that field there, it's full of like wildflowers. I'm just going to add some color. I added a little bit of pink. I opened up the rose and I added some white to it, and I added some pure yellow and pure white, and even some blue. So I like to drag that blue from the sky and the lake, and I just dabbed a little teeny bit of that blue here and there into the painting, just to give it a little bit of vibrancy. So wouldn't you know that my battery died, and I had to recharge it, and then I replaced the battery and came back to the painting, not realizing that the camera was not in focus. But I did put the picture back up, the final one, so you can see the final image there. And I think it's quite vibrant and beautiful and a really great representation of the photo. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy painting with gouache. I'm going to do some more gouache tutorials in the future. If you have any questions about it, please add that to my comments below, and I'll be happy to try to make a video talking about whatever questions you have. And thank you for watching again. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you know I've uploaded a new video. I know I can't get to it all the time, but I do try to keep up with this, and I really enjoy doing this for you and sharing my talent and my expertise with you. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video.